Hello and welcome back to the Infinite Library, and today we've got my fall November TBR. October was pretty crazy busy. I didn't really get to all the books I wanted to get to be honest. I'm also aware you've not seen a wrap up from me for September or October, and I was just so busy I just didn't get around to filming my September wrap up, but I am hoping to film a bumper double up wrap up sometime in November to cover both September and October, so you'll probably get a really extra long video. I did read like quite a few books because September was Magical Readathon and October I was trying to read like a fair amount of spooky books and doing on top of my Goodreads stuff. But yeah, it was just been a really busy month in October and I've just not had the time to like film and take the time to do that as much as I wanted to. So in terms of my TBR for November, I have some set books that I want to try and get to, and then I have like a bunch of other books that I would like to get to. The main event for me is that I'm going to YALC, which is I believe in the second weekend I think of November, like around the 16th or something. I'll be going down to London for YALC, which is the YA Literature Convention. It's like the 10-year anniversary or something. I've never been before. Really excited to go, and I'm still trying to like just read as many of the authors as I can so I can like prioritize panels and signings and that kind of thing. So I've already like managed to get through quite a lot, but I still have a rather large stack and I will not be able to get through all of them, so I'm going to try and get through like as many as I can basically. So I will be showing you those kind of in like my priority order. But first, let's talk about the books that I absolutely have to get to in the month of November. So I'm obviously still going to be doing my Goodreads challenge for November. It is historical novels versus humour, which is a rather unusual one. I don't tend to read humour books, to be honest, but I will be reading Wayward. I'm obviously not showing you all the books, but I will be reading Wayward because this was the winner of the historical. I'm actually really excited to read this one because I think I'm going to love it. It's about witches, it's got fantasy stuff, and it sounds really fun. It's basically like set in 3 different timelines about 3 different women, one in present day, one in 1942, and another in 1619. So yeah, it sounds really good. It's really not as big as it felt like it was, because I originally did take this out in hardback like ages ago. But yeah, it's not, doesn't seem as thick at all. It's like 350-ish pages or something also. Don't know if you'll be able to see it, but like we've got a little bird animation that you can do if you flip through it, so this is fun. But yeah, I do like the paperback UK version, I've got to say, more than the UK hardback. I hate the UK hardback. Like the American cover is so nice, and then this is the UK version and it just doesn't give me anything. So we have a little bit of the UK cover here, but we still get the bird at least, which I'm happy about. So I will definitely be reading this, as well as 2 other historical fiction. For my humour books, I only have one physically at the moment, and that is Leslie Effing Jones by Leslie Jones. It is a kind of a memoir by a stand-up comedian, I believe. It's really not that long at all. It's quite on the skimpy side. It's like 250 pages, so I'm anticipating this to be quite a quick read. So I've got this as well as 2 other humour books, and then if I can, I don't know if I'll be able to read them all during the month of November, but at the very least I'm going to try and start on the fantasy category as well, because I have quite chunky books for this one because it's fantasy. And of course for that I will be reading The Winner, Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. This is the sequel to Ninth House. I read Ninth House earlier this year and quite enjoyed it, so I am hoping that I will also like this one. It did win, so I've got fairly high expectations of it. But I'm also really excited for all the other fantasy books that I picked. Those are the books I will definitely be reading. I also have a couple of other books that I have to read for various book clubs and that kind of thing. So I do still need to read Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. This is what I got out of the TBR jar last month. I did not get to it, but it is fairly short, so I remain optimistic that I can squeeze this in at some point, so I'll try and get to this in November. For my own book club, we are going to be reading another sci-fi this month. And that is Floating Hotel by Grace Curtis. I'm really excited for this one because I just wanted to read this as soon as I saw it, basically. It sounds super fun, super cozy, very, not necessarily full vibes because sci-fi, but this is basically like a spaceship hotel, and all the guests have various mysteries, and I think we're going to find out like about the person that runs the hotel, and it just sounds like a good time. It honestly gives me a lot of vibes of Cautious Traveler's Guide to the Wastelands, except sci-fi rather than like historical mystery. So yeah, looking forward to reading this. Again, it's not on the fic side, so I'm happy to be also putting another sci-fi into my reading list. I've done better on sci-fi this year than I was expecting to be honest. And then finally, a couple of people that we do like a monthly book club kind of thing, and they have basically suggested, after some of us went to the Arf Kwong event recently, that we read, if I can find it, Babel by R. Kwong, which of course is quite thick. This is like, can't even remember which special edition this is. I want to say this is a Luma crate. It comes with like a slipcase and stuff, and like bookmarks and various other things. But yeah, the aim is that we're going to be reading like a couple of chapters a week of Babel, with the aim of us finishing like sometime in December or something. So I've been wanting to read this for a while. I really enjoyed Yellowface. I know this was quite a heavy read, so I feel like reading it as like with other people is probably going to be quite good. Yeah, this is an Luma current one. Has some like really fun stuff in this one, like a map, another map of Babel itself, and this is all about translation. It's dark academia. I've heard really good things about it. I've also heard a lot of footnotes, which can be a bit distracting, although skimming through is not as bad as I was kind of expecting. But yeah, this is all about race and academia and translation, essentially. So yeah, looking forward to getting to this one. I think a buddy read is going to be like a good thing for me to be doing this with. So then we're getting on to all the YA books that I have to read. A lot of these are kind of horror-ish because that is more like my kind of vibe really in terms of YA. My main priorities, I'd say, are these 3 books here. And I have another stack of like 6 books over there that I want to try and get to, but will probably not be able to, let's be honest. But my main priorities are to read Mina and the Undead by Amy McCourt. This is very like, gives me big Buffy vibes. Basically, it's set I think in the 90s in New Orleans, about a girl called Mina who just arrived there. And then, yeah, the body of a girl with puncture marks is found, and it looks suspiciously... clutching a lock of hair that suspiciously looks like her estranged sister's hair. So yeah, it sounds a lot of fun. I've heard about this for a while. It's something I've been wanting to get to for a while, and I'm hoping I'll really like it so that it will be an author I want to meet at YALC. Then we have another dark academia book, funnily enough. This is Welcome to Dolly Hall by Alison Greaves. This is part of a series, I believe. This is one of the chunkier ones. And I think this is independently published, so I couldn't actually get this from the library. All I had to like order this secondhand, I think, but it's in pretty good condition. And yeah, this is an LGBT dark academia. Basically, it's about this guy called Mark. His older brother Stefan disappears, and then a year later, he encounters a woman who looks nearly identical to her. And then basically, it turns out there's this royal cult, this college, where men keep disappearing to. Most of them seem to be troubled or unruly. Why are students going missing? Who are the women who resemble them? And what is their connection to the selective student accommodation on the edge of campus, Dolly Hall? So yeah, this sounds really interesting. I'm hoping I will like it, but it is on the chunkier side. And then finally, I have Gwen and Art Are Not in Love by Lex Croucher. I've been wanting to read something from Lex Croucher for a while now because she's going to be at YALC, and also I'm just kind of interested. And this is probably the one I'm most interested in. I was going to pick this up earlier in October, but I wasn't really in the mood for a rom-com. I've just really been in the mood for more mystery stuff. So I haven't got to it yet, but I will definitely get to it before YALC. So those are the priority books. And then I have a whole stack here of other ones. Most of these are library books, apart from the top one here, which I got really cheap because I don't think it was a new release. It wasn't available in the library yet. But yeah, these are the other ones I would really like to try and get through a few of these as well before YALC, but I'm not expecting to get through all of them. So yeah, most of these are horror or like fantasy. Some of them are romantasy. So we have Let's Split Up by Bill Wood. This also kind of gives Buffy vibes and also Scooby-Doo vibes. Basically, it is like a murder mystery kind of thing. There is a rumour after a bunch of killings that a ghoul haunts a house. Cam, Jonesy, Amber and new girl Buffy search for clues. The rumour feels closer to the truth than they ever dared think possible, and as they enter the derelict building themselves, The idea is splitting up to find evidence will prove to be the best or worst decision of all. So yeah, this feels like it's going to be like a quite quick, easy thriller sort of read. And yeah, pretty fun, I think. Then we have another new release, How to Survive a Horror Movie by Scarlett Dunmore. I love these like kind of culture savvy books that take so much influence from horror movies at the moment. I'm actually reading another one right now called Young Gothic, also a YALC author, and that also like name drops a lot of horror movies. And it's quite fun, like seeing how they interact with the text. This is about a horror enthusiast called Charlie who's trying to keep a low profile while she's enrolled at a girls' boarding school on a remote island. And then someone starts killing off her senior class. So you got a masked figure prowling the grounds, very Scream. And then she starts finding ghosts of her former classmates. She and her best friend Oliver are the only ones to understand the rules of horror. They know never to split up or investigate strange noises in the dark, so it's up to them to solve the murder before graduation. So I feel like these two are going to be quite fun to read next to one another because they're both going to be very like genre savvy sort of horror and mystery thriller kind of books. Then the last horror I've got is The Haunting of Tyrese Walker by J.P. Rose. This is about a boy called Tyrese who, after like a shocking event, ends up going to visit family in Jamaica, and then weird things start happening, I believe. He believes he is being hunted by an entity called the Shadow Man. And yeah, him and his friends set out on a terrifying journey across the island to try and uncover the Shadow Man's sinister history. So again, this is on the fairly short side, only about 250 pages. Yeah, let's give it a try if possible. If you didn't already tell, I'm really more in the mood for the horror books at the moment than the fantasy. But I do have 3 fantasy still that I would like to at least give a try. So we have another new release, The Dark Diviners by Jess Popplewell. I really don't know a whole lot about this one. Although it does apparently have a little thing here that says, this book in 3 words, dark, original, funny. That doesn't tell me very much. I don't think the premise tells me very much either. It just says, Jenny's felt broken for a long time. Luke has his own issues. You would too if your family ruled hell. When they meet at a party, sparks fly. She sees a handsome devil, he sees a lost soul, both sense trouble. But it'll take a journey to the very depths of the underworld to bring a girl and a demon together. So, could be good, could be just typical YA romance. I'm not really sure, but I will at least give it a go and see what it's like, essentially, because again, another YALC author. Then we have yet another new release. So many of these like YALC authors have had books that are coming out like really close to the event, so it's been hard to get hold of a lot of these and read them in time. But we have Tales of a Monstrous Heart by Jennifer Delaney. I do love this cover of this book, it's very cool. And this one, I believe, is a much darker kind of fantasy than the other ones. It is about a fae woman called Catherine, and all she wants to do is graduate from the Institute of Magic. But when the prejudiced mortal council threaten her position at the Institute, she is left with only one option: accept a mage partnership with the elusive Lord Blackthorn. Emrys Blackthorn is a riddle Cat is fearful of solving. The mysterious, cursed war hero with his stormy eyes and unpredictable ways leaves Cat with more questions than answers. But of course she is irresistibly drawn to him, no matter how forbidden it might be. However, this is where we could get more interesting. When a string of murders and fae disappearances herald the return of dark magic, Cath and Emrys are thrown into a world of ancient books that hide hideous monsters, dark fiends who play with nightmares, and mortal men who wish nothing more than to see them both burn. It does sound like it's kind of interesting, also on the longer side though, so we'll see how I go. And then the final book is one that I've heard about for ages, probably could have read ages ago to be honest, because it was always kind of up my alley, but nothing was really prompting me to do it until they announced the author was going to be at YALC. She was a late edition author as well, and that is A.Y. Child's Shanghai Immortal. This is the one about, she's like, yeah, half vampire, half Spock spirit woman. Yeah, she was pawned by her mother to the King of Hell as a child, and now as his ward, she has spent the last 90 years running errands, dodging the taunts of the spiteful Hulijing courtiers and trying to control her explosive temper with varying levels of success. I did listen to a bit of the audiobook for this one and it was very fun, so I may try and seek out the audiobook for this. Basically, she overhears this plot about someone trying to steal a priceless dragon pearl from the king, seizes her chance to expose them, and then with the help of a mortal, she embarks on a wild chase for intel, first through hell and then through mortal Shanghai. So yeah, it sounds really fun. It actually says it's an adult fantasy debut, not YA. So there we go. But I feel like it's giving like YA vibes, and I also feel from the little I've read of it so far, it's going to be a very fun, easy read. So yeah, that is the last one. And I just have a couple of other books, which are stuff that I would maybe like to get to, probably won't, but you know, I'd like to anyway. Some of these are manga, so there's going to be like my kind of like palette cleanser things, I think, in between some of these bigger books. Here we go. I have a whole stack of manga here that my lovely friend has lent me. So there is one more volume of this, but my flatmate currently has it because we've both been reading it. So we have here at least volumes 1, 2 and 3 of Witch Hat Atelier. I have already read volume 1 ages ago, but I'm probably going to reread it before I carry on with the series. But this is a really cute series. This is giving me like cute, cozy, epic fantasy sort of vibes. It's about a girl who ends up in training to become a witch after various things happen in her hometown, and it's getting quite mysterious and the character's really interesting. So yeah, I am really interested to carry this one on. I really enjoyed this one when I read the first volume of it a few months back now. And then the other series I've got, which is kind of hefty, is actually a webtoon, and this is one that I also read during my read 30 manga in 30 days thing, and that is Villains Are Destined to Die by Sewol. It is a Korean, I want to say, originally like a webtoon kind of thing, so it's like really gorgeous, like full color kind of pictures. I have like pretty much most of the volumes that are out at the moment. So we've got volume 1, we've got volume 2, volume 3, I'm covering your face up, love, sorry, volume 4, volume 5. I love volume 5's cover, I think it's my favorite, and then volume 6. So that's quite enough to keep me going in terms of reading manga, I think. And then if by any sort of miracle I have time to read anything else at all, I did pick up a haul from the library yesterday, which I don't even know if I'm going to read it, to be honest, because I've been hearing nothing but bad things about it. But it's really short and I am still kind of intrigued about it, and that is Graveyard Shift by ML Rio. The only reason why I'm putting it on this TBR is that it already has like 10 reserves on it, so I have to take it back in the month, and it's like 90 pages. So I feel like I could probably just squeeze this in at some point. But yeah, it's not been getting good reviews. It is about these people that end up finding like this freshly dug grave in a graveyard, and I don't really know what else it's about. It's just about a group of misfits that end up meeting in this local cemetery, basically, and it's about that. So not heard very much good about it, so sadly. And then because I did say I wanted to get to it in October and I didn't, would like to try and get back to it, but we'll see. So the only thing left to do is my TBR. I really shouldn't be pulling from this, but I do want to try and get to these, even if like they end up going into December or something instead. I am going to be scrapping this jar at the end of this year because I've got like a totally different plan for next year for me to be getting through my physical TBR. So I'd like to at least try and do a few more out of this before the end of the year. So let us pick one and I'll see if it's something I can squeeze in. If not in November, then in December. Okay, I have one. Oh, this is a book that I don't even have any copy of anymore. This is a Circus Infinite. It is a LGBT sci-fi book that I've tried to get my book club to read so many times and it has never been picked. And I also had it out from the library for like 4 months and I only just took it back like a month or so ago. So I guess I'm re-reserving it. Probably going to be a December read, to be honest, but it is a book that people have, like, one person in particular has been telling me they really want me to read it. So yeah, I will try and get to this. It is one of my 12 recommendations from 12 friends that I got from last year, which I still want to get to them all. So yeah, I'm happy to be getting this one, even if it's sadly not one I already have. So that is it really for my November TBR. It's quite chunky, but also I am under no illusions that I'm going to get to all of these books. At the very least, I'm going to be reading all my Goodreads one. I'm going to read a bit of YA. I'm going to start Bubble. I'm going to read some manga probably and a sci-fi. And that's probably all I'll get to. But November, thankfully, is nowhere near as busy as October is. And because I'm going down to London, I also have a lot of travel time. which gives me like a good amount of reading time because I'm getting the coach down, which takes like 5 hours there and back. So I do have like a good amount of time to be reading. Yeah, I guess we'll find out how many of this I get to in December. But in the meantime, let me know what books you've got planned for November. Do you have any like really good fall recommendations that I can't get to right now, but maybe I'll put them in for like next year or something? Also really kind of excited for December coming up to be reading some seasonal reads. I kind of read a couple of like actual Christmas books last year and I really enjoyed doing that for once. And there's a couple I've got on my radar I would like to try and get to in December, so kind of excited for that. November's just going to be a case of me just trying to clear out some of my backlog stuff. And then December, I'm hopefully going to be reading like a bit more on theme, I suppose. So that is it from me. As always, stay safe, stay cozy, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!